Trade deadline come and gone for the Montreal Canadiens. Join alongside me, Justin. My name is Mackie. Missing Alex. Together we make the No Respect podcast. In today's video, folks, I'm losing my breath as we do this intro. We are going to be talking about the deadline, which you probably already know all about in terms of recapping all those deals. It's the first one for Jeff Gorton, Kent Hughes. And as a bonus question at the end of this video, we will be tackling which Hab that has moved has the best chance to win Lord Stanley, the Stanley Cup. Justin, before we get into it, how you doing? How you doing?
I'm doing good. Very eventful week for the Habs. This is like one of the most exciting deadlines we've had in recent times. And I mean, it's kind of for the wrong reasons, obviously, but there's a lot of stuff to talk about.
Yes, the Habs, if you guys didn't see it, sell. It was obvious that they chose to be sellers at this deadline, and boy, did they sell. This was the first time that Jeff Gorton, Kent Hughes were embarking on this journey together as Montreal Canadiens duo here of management since Marc Bergevin left. So this is an interesting period for us, at least as Habs fans, seeing what the new management is capable of, and they did not disappoint. So starting with this group of fellows that we'll get into, and the whole haul, obviously Jeff Petrie a little bit pissed off that he wasn't part of the group, as you could see in this image. But Justin, let's recap the first deal, which happened a while ago, but it's important to give the whole context because we want to recap everything that's happened from start to finish since this deadline has happened.
Yes, of course. Well, I mean, Tyler Toffoli was traded, obviously, like this is 3 weeks ago, maybe, but he was traded for Tyler Pitlick, making the trio of Pitlicks that the Habs have. They've been gathering those as much as they've been gathering picks. Emil Heineman, prospect. Don't know much about him, but he seems to be promising.
Vinny Lecavalier likes his game. So does Kent Hughes. I mean, when Vinny says that he likes his game, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Yeah. A first-round pick, which is probably going to be a late one.
Start of the show.
Yeah. So Calgary is pretty high up in the standings right now. So it's probably going to be a late pick, but still great. And a fifth-round pick, 2023.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
Yeah, and that's...
sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that deal, obviously it's been a while, but it was a haul at the time. We weren't expecting Tyler Toffoli to be necessarily the one to leave. He was a good locker room guy, been killing it in Calgary. So, I mean, this is obviously just to provide context. Well, let's move into the second trade, Justin, so that we can get into the news of yesterday.
Yeah, so the second pick, obviously it also happened before the deadline, the Ben Sherratt trade for Tyler Smolanic. And another first-round pick, this one in 2023, and a fourth-round pick in 2022.
That's cash money, baby, for Ben Sherratt.
Oh, yeah.
I loved him as a Hab, but it doesn't excuse it doesn't exclude the fact that I should say that he has the potential of coming back as a Montreal Canadien as a UFA this summer. This is just a great deal overall, and part again of this is 2 first-round picks, something that Marc Bergevin didn't do. In his tenure, from what we gather, unless it was later, I can't remember. Well, but from what I gather, I think that was true.
I think the only first-round pick he got was the one he got through Kotkaniemi signing this offer sheet. So
yeah, there you go.
But yeah, I mean, Ben Sherratt, we've talked about it, but if someone told me that Ben Sherratt would get you a first-round pick at the start of the season, there's no way I would believe you. Like, this is obviously a very heavy sellers market right now in the trade deadline. And these type of defensemen that can play big minutes and are big playoff performers are coveted. So, first rounder, I'm ecstatic about.
Yeah, let's head into some of the moves from yesterday. And this starts off one of 2 major moves, and there's a third one we'll get into that's a little bit more minor, but Brett Kulak. One thing that's interesting about this whole thing, reading Twitter, reading people that actually do this for a living, I think it was by Eric Engels, and something that he said, I could be misquoting, so apologies, but whole point is that Brett Kulak, when discussing Kent Hughes talking about Brett Kulak, said that we like Brett Kulak and we're not going to trade him unless the deal that we want happens. And for that reason, Brett Kulak gets moved for a 2nd-round pick and a 7th, and William Lagesson, who is apparently like a 6th, 7th fringe NHLer in this deal. But for Brett Kulak, who was a UFA at the end of this is the type of deal that Kent Hughes wanted for this player, and he got it. So this is what we're starting to learn about Kent Hughes. You know, Marc Bergevin, I know he had his faults, but he was pretty good at trading players. And since this kind of management change, I thought that maybe be one of those things that we started kind of seeing maybe a diminishing return, because that was something that he was good at. You know, let's be fair here. So I can't see a scenario where people are unhappy with Brett Kulak being moved for this package.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, and I would say the same thing I said about Ben Sherratt. If you told me that Ben Sherratt would get, Brett Kulak would get you a 2nd-round pick, I'd call you crazy at the beginning of the season. So, yeah. I mean, great haul. I don't know really if William Lagesson will do much in the NHL. Maybe he'll help out Laval. They've been emailing me a lot about sales on tickets recently, so maybe I'll check them out there. But yeah, I mean, this is a good trade, kind of unexpected. I didn't think he would get moved, and for this much. Obviously, the 2nd-round pick it's a conditional. If the Edmonton Oilers make the Stanley Cup final this year, it goes to a 2023 2nd-round pick, I believe. Those are the conditions. Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah.
I think 2nd round is 2022 if they make the Stanley Cup Finals, but 2023 if they don't make the Stanley Cup Finals. So it's a guaranteed 2nd round pick. I see.
So it's basically okay. It's like lower.
Prioritizing the fact that they want this pick for this year. That's their optimal situation. Needs to get to the finals for that to happen. Yeah. If not, it's 2023, which is still a 2nd round pick.
No way Edmonton's making the finals.
Wait for the end of the video. Wait for the end of the video. Okay.
So
one little caveat, actually, one little caveat on this is that we thought that actually Jake Allen may have been part of the deal. This was something that was rumored during this whole Brett Kulak situation. It was like Brett Kulak is going to Edmonton. Pause for like 20 hours. What it seemed, because nobody knew what he was going for. So we're like, is it a 7th round pick? Is it Jake Allen involved? Figured out it. This is it. William Lagesson, 2nd round pick, 2022-2023.
Honestly,
7th round pick. Let's go.
Which would have made sense for it to acquire Jake Allen for Edmonton, but we can get into that a bit later. Anyway, let's move on to the next.
Let's go.
So this trade, obviously, not a super
star of the show
eventful trade, but at least Andrew Hammond is getting what he deserves, which is a kind of opportunity to start in the NHL with the Devils. I don't know if he's going to be starting or just being a backup there, but he was 3-0 in his 3 games played for the Habs, undefeated for the Habs, which is, I believe I saw a tweet that said that he's the only goalie in history to be undefeated for the Habs. So that's great to see.
Okay, well, it's
yeah, so I mean, Nate Schnarr, don't know too much. Schnarr. It's Schnarr. Don't know too much about him. I don't know if you do, but yeah, this is kind of just one of those trades that passes under the radar because it's kind of not super important.
Well, 2 things on this is that Nate Schnarr apparently added to help out the Laval group for their playoff push. So that's a cool thing in this deal. The second thing was the comments made by actually Andrew Hammond's wife and how top shelf of an organization the Montreal Canadiens were as they acquired him, just helping them with their living situation. I think this deal is one of those goodwill deals. By that, I mean like it's one of those things that helps, professionals say good things about this organization, especially with this new management kind of being instilled here. And it's always good to have somebody that spent such little time with the Montreal Canadiens have such great things to say, especially from the family side of things, which was, I can't remember her first name, the wife of Andrew Hammond, so I apologize, but only nice things and great things to say about the fan base and the organization. So I would give that kind of context as a bonus here with this transaction. But let's move on to the biggest deal probably of the day, and one that hurts us as Montreal Canadiens fans, but it was a deal that you can't say no to. Artturi Lehkonen, the overtime hero against the Vegas Golden Knights in Game 6 on Saint-Jean-Baptiste here in Montreal. It doesn't get better than that. It just doesn't get better. That is the pinnacle of an athlete's success, apart from if it was on the Stanley Cup finals and it was on Saint-Jean-Baptiste, which would have made sense. So what a moment, what a player, a guy that's defensively capable, has the scoring touch that has been maybe inconsistent, but with the year that he was having, are you surprised that they actually went ahead and sold Artturi Lehkonen?
Not for the price they sold him for. I mean, Justin Barron is a first-round pick from 2 years ago, I believe, and I think he's one of the top prospects that Colorado has. He's a defenseman, big defenseman, and everyone I saw on the Colorado fans online seemed to be very devastated to see him go. So I don't think he fit into the lineup right now because their D is just very stacked. So I mean, they had the opportunity to get rid of him, but this is a very good haul for Montreal, and I think this is what it took to get Artturi Lehkonen. Anything less than this, I don't think we would have traded him because he could have been part of our team in terms of a rebuild or a retool. But yeah, Colorado's gonna love Artturi.
Yeah, you are. You better. That's our Artturi Lehkonen. We loved you. Let's do a recap of everything that has happened since Kent Hughes and Jeff Gorton has started as management duo here. This is the recap of the full list. Tyler Toffoli, Ben Sherratt, Artturi Lehkonen, Brett Kulak, all out. We forgot Andrew Hammond as part of this group, but because it's not as strong of like a return here, we're focusing on the 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and these obviously a year apart in 2022, 2023 for the first, 2023, 2024 for the second round picks.
I think we're missing one second rounder actually. Because
there you
there's
have
the one with
there.
Brett Kulak, right? Or
no, that's part of the.
I might be mistaken. Anyway, continue. Sorry.
Yeah. All of this to say is that we got a shit ton of picks, and we were already loaded on picks since Marc Bergevin started doing this retool reset. And we get Emil Heineman, Ty Smilanic, William Lagesson, who is not necessarily the most interesting piece, but the biggest one probably is Justin Barron, in a position, in a need that we needed, that right shot defenseman. And this is a top prospect, or a very, I would say not like S tier, but definitely like A tier level prospect in the sense that you expect him to have some impact and be a regular regular NHLer, moving forward. So that's a hell of a haul when you take a look at the two, differences. Ben Sherratt and Brett Kulak being UFAs. So was Artturi Lehkonen, but I think he was RFA status. The only big one was Tyler Toffoli, but for the price, it makes sense. And for the context of the Montreal Canadiens. So, Justin, I don't know if you have any last. Is there any way that you look at this and you say, I don't like what I see, I don't agree with the direction? Because that could be a fair argument here, is that like you had all these hauls, you gave away these pieces, but do you like the direction and what seems to be the plan after this deadline? Does it say anything specific?
Well, what I would say is that I don't think we gave anything up that would go against kind of what the plan is. Like, none of these players are necessarily players that are like core players that we necessarily needed to kind of do a quick reset and keep going like forward, and maybe take a year or two to kind of get some picks, get some development done, and then go again to be a playoff team. But on the other side, if we wanted to completely rebuild, we're also in the good position to do that. We have 14 picks in the next draft. The next draft after that in 2023, we already have I think around 10. So I mean, we're set up to be good in the future, which is always positive for me. And I don't think we sacrifice too much to get in that position.
Yeah, if one thing is clear to me, I could be completely wrong here, but we've had this conversation about retool, rebuild, all of those things. What this has told me is that the Habs are going to stay competitive with the players that they have, and they are going to not. They're not going to be, at the top of the standings, and that's fine for them because the next 2-3 years they're going to cash in on all of this, and they're going to look to build a team that's just going to last. And especially with the year that we're having, we're lucky to be drafting in top position, and this deadline just says that okay, this is the reset. It's not going to be 10 years. We're going to keep our foundational pieces, but we're going to reload on every position or every player that we feel is not going to be a part of this for the long run. There's no point in just keeping them and trying to be competitive that way. Let's be competitive with the players that are within this organization, young players, and go from there.
And we'll obviously know more as we get to the offseason, as we see kind of what happens with Jeff Petrie, what happens with like the players that are kind of the question marks right now. So I mean, we'll see whether we're gonna go for the full kind of rebuild, or kind of just a reset.
Yeah. But the last question, folks, now that we've gone through the whole deadline that you guys probably already were aware of, we have a question. Okay, I want to split it up into 2 questions. Okay. My first question, and I don't know if you can hear my dog barking. If you can, I apologize. Her name is Maya. Okay. Yeah, there you go. So she's very happy with the acquisitions. She's trying to voice it, but let's get to the questions. First question is, out of these 4 players, Ben, Arturi, Brett, Tyler, okay, which one has the best chance to go to the Cup? Okay, that's my first question. And my second question is, which one is going to have the most impact on their respective teams? So, Justin, I let you answer both of those questions with these players, and I'll try to interject. And you guys let us know down below. That'd be great.
Let me tell you something for sure. I don't think the Oilers are going to go the furthest out of these 4 teams. I think Florida, the Avalanche, and Calgary are all Stanley Cup contenders, like bona fide. They could make it to the end. I want to lean towards... I don't like Calgary that much, but I would lean towards Calgary for some reason. I just think they have really good depth. With Tyler Toffoli, they have a lot of good scoring. They have a really good goalie in Markstrom. And yeah, I just think that could be it. That could be the team that goes the furthest.
Really, eh? That's interesting. Okay, well, your second part to this question, which one is going to have the most impact?
Honestly, I think I'm going to go with Arturi Lehkonen, just because I think he'll have the most impact, not necessarily in only like a goal scoring or point getting sense, but he'll have the most impact in like the way he plays his game, because he's an all-around just good hockey player, good on 200 feet of the ice, and I think he'll have the most impact because he's going to play in all situations.
Okay, interesting enough. Okay. I have a completely different answer-ish. First one for who's going to make it to the Cup, most likely, it's Ben. Claude Giroux acquired that. There's Barkov, Huberdeau. This group is all in, and I mean the Atlantic is stacked with great teams. Like there's Tampa Bay that's a part of the group. Obviously, you still got the Boston Bruins that can always do something in the playoffs. I just think that this whole thing might play against them because of that reason. But I think Ben Sherratt and the Florida Panthers, they acquired and they are ready to go. Now, the player that I think will have the most impact, I was going to say Brett Kulak, just from like a positional need on like the defense of the Oilers, but still, I think I've got to say Tyler Toffoli. Like Tyler Toffoli has been absolutely killing it, and as a secondary / like in that top 6, he's brought a lot, and he's playing under Daryl Sutter that he's aware of, like that they have that relationship from their time in LA. I had nothing against Arturi Lehkonen. I think he's going to be great on the Avalanche. I just think he's going to have a lesser offensive role, and for that reason I give it to Tyler Toffoli. But you guys, let us know what you think. This was a pretty long video. We covered the deadline, who's going to the Cup, who's going to make the most impact on their new team. If you like Habs content, you've come to the right place. This is the No Respect Podcast. For Justin, for Alex, who's missing tonight, my name is Mackie, and if you like, subscribe. All of those things feel great just from a personal level, so please consider it. If you don't, again, we don't blame you. But sell. This was what we had to talk about. The deadline. Montreal Canadiens, baby. It's exciting time somewhat. It's different, but it's exciting. We'll see you next time, folks. Go Habs, go.